Okay. Okay. So in till last class, what we did was we did all these things except this. Let me see, this app colors. We didn't do app colors. Okay. Now app colors, this comes this should come a bit later. Okay. You should not worry about that as of now. Okay. But before we do that, we need to go to we need to do another thing. Okay, and just give me a moment. Okay. This app colors is not that essential, but for today we'll set up the wallpapers. Okay. How to add wallpapers, and yes, we will set up our JSON file. We will set up our JSON file, and I'll show you exactly how you can do that. Okay, I'll show you how what is the JSON file and how you can modify it according to your preference and all that thing. Okay, so I'll be just turning off the display for now because I need to do something in the background. Then after that we'll join. Okay. Okay. So first take a look at what is JSON. Okay. So what is a JSON basically? So JSON is basically known as JavaScript Object Notation. So JSON is basically a database where we save our data on the server or cloud. Okay. So our app is something like this, that whenever we add new wallpapers, we don't need to update our app every time. Okay. We just need to edit the JSON values that will be stored in GitHub, and from there the app will load all the new wallpapers itself. Okay, so you don't need to push updates into in the Play Store every time you add new wallpapers. So this is the benefit of having a cloud database. So JSON will act as a cloud database for us. There are other databases also, such as we sometimes use Firebase or to be more specific, we use Firestore to store our data sometimes. Okay, but what happens with Firebase is that for this kind of app we don't need Firebase actually, because Firebase to use Firebase to its full potential, if the user number is a lot higher, then you will have a lot of issues with Firebase, such as you will have to pay, the free plan will not work for you, then you will have to opt for the Blaze plan or something like that. And also when the number of reads and writes in the apps will be higher, then you will also have to pay for that. So to avoid these kind of issues, we use JSON, but there are certain backfalls with JSON as well. Okay, so few backfalls, the most important backfalls is that JSON is not a real-time database. What does that mean? That whenever you update new content, it will not show immediately. It will take few seconds to load into the app, to show into the app. Okay, so that's what the main problem with JSON really is. Okay, so we'll take a look at a basic outline of JSON. Okay, let's look at a basic example. Go to images over here, and then we'll see something like this. Okay, let me take a simple example. This example looks nice. Okay, let me just download this image. Save.
Hello, bro, screen sharing is off.
Screen sharing is off. Okay, my bad. Thank you for reminding. Now visible? Now visible?
Yes, visible.
Okay, so let me just go through that once again. So JSON is basically, JSON is basically known as a JavaScript object notation. Okay, so it's basically a database which will store our wallpapers. Okay, but we will not store our wallpapers directly into JSON. So JSON is basically few lines of codes, and we will use GitHub to store our wallpapers and so on. and we will get that link from GitHub and place it inside JSON. Okay, so JSON will manage our database basically. Okay, so the GitHub will be used to host our data, and the JSON will be used to serve as the database. There is a slight difference, because the JSON will be taking all the data from the GitHub and it will be using that in a format, and that will help the app to show all the data. Okay, so that is basically it. So let me just draw a simple thing for you. Okay, before I go there, before you take a look at this, don't look at this now, there is no need for now, I will explain everything a bit later. Okay, so we will store our wallpapers, where we will store our wallpapers on GitHub. Okay, why GitHub? Because first of all, GitHub is free. GitHub is free, and free hosting. You can host lots of files there for free, and also you can easily generate public links. There are certain other hosting websites also. You can also host via Google Drive, but that's not the way I would prefer, because there are lots of issues with while hosting with Google Drive. So GitHub will be our best option. So you will host your wallpapers via GitHub. Okay, so from there you will store your wallpapers on GitHub repositories. Store wallpapers in GitHub repositories. Okay, and from there we'll store that information in JSON file. Okay, you have to understand this part. Okay, we will need to create our wallpapers, then we will store our wallpapers in GitHub repositories. Okay, what does repositories means? Repositories are nothing but folders. Okay, if you have let's just look at the folder structure. Okay, so this is like this. Okay, this is my local drive, and if you go over here, we have two folders. So the repositories are just like this. Inside your account you have folders, and they are known as repositories in GitHub. Okay, so that's basically it, and we will store all that information from those repositories or those files into the JSON file. So let's take a basic look at take a look at the basic structure of a JSON file. Okay, so if you take a look from here, what is a JSON? So what does a JSON file comprises of? Look at this. Look at these things. I'll just take direct codes. Okay, JSON example. These are way too complicated. For now, I'll take a example. I'll just create one. Okay. Okay, so at first you will have some difficulties understanding this, so I'll just cut this part and store it at the bottom over here, so that you don't have any issues while reading this. Just read this top part. Okay, so this is a JSON file, okay, JSON code basically. So what happens is that everything is basically an object. Your one wallpaper will represent as an single object. Okay, so everything will be regarded as an object. So what is an object basically? Guys, my bad, today is very busy day for me, so give me a few moments. Okay, I'm getting a call. So let's just start once again. So everything will be, each wallpaper will be regarded as an object. So let's take a look at one example. There are suppose 20 students in a classroom. Okay, so each student will be regarded as an object. Okay, and each student has few properties, like he may have a name, he or she may have an age, he or she may have a sex. Okay, the gender. Okay, this part shouldn't be there. So these are all properties. These are known as properties. Anything in between these curly braces is an object. Okay, understand this part. Anything inside these curly braces is an object. So we have one student over here. This is one student. Okay, so this is one student. We have one object, so it can also be regarded as an wallpaper. So this is an object. Okay, and everything inside these two double braces is the properties of that object. So for this is student, this is one student, and this student has few properties such as name, age and sex, and all the values will be written like this. Okay, okay, give me a moment. So it should be written like this. So then there will be a name for the property and there will be a value for the property. So the name of that property is name. Okay, suppose there are three properties as I told you. One can be the name of that student, and then also can be the age. So this is a property. The name itself is a property. So we will write the name of the property within double quotes, then a colon, and then the value of the property within again double quotes. Okay, understand this part. The format is like this. Okay, name of that property, then we'll have a colon, and then again within double quotes value of that property, and then it will end with a comma. This is the main structure. Understand this part. And what will be the naming convention? So the name of these properties should not start with a capital letter. Okay, it should always start with a small letter. All should be in small letters. Okay, and the value can be starting with capital letters, or all the letters can be capital. The value part actually doesn't matter. The name of the property shouldn't, there is a naming convention in coding that one should always follow. Okay, so for this the naming convention is like this. The value name, the name of the property cannot have any capital letters in it. Okay, and each property will end with a comma except the last one. See, in the last one, for the sex one, after the sex there is no comma. I have given no comma because this is the last property of that object. So for the last property, at the end of the last property, we will not give any comma. Okay, okay, so this was our one object. So it is very natural that a class cannot have just a single student. So there will be multiple students. So we will have multiple objects like this. Okay, so we will just need to copy this part, put comma, and then add our new object. Okay, so this is our second student. So change the name to something like Cyan. Okay, change the age to something like 24. He is also male. So okay, so these are two objects. Now as I told you, all objects will have a comma at the end except the last object. Like this one, all properties will have a comma at the end except the last one. Similarly, all objects will have a comma at the end except the last one. Okay, and all of these objects will be within third brackets. Okay, this is one JSON code. These are two objects, okay, or two students, and each have same properties. Just remember, all of these properties for each of these objects should be same. The property name should be same. Okay, see there is no difference in all of these property names, but the value can be changed because each are different, so value can be changed, but the proper name of the property should remain constant. Okay, so you have to understand this part. So if you have understood this part, let's move on to this next part. Okay, I'll just delete all of this. Hope my screen is visible. Hope my screen is visible. Just let me know once again.
It's visible, bro.
Okay. So we'll do something like this. Okay, so this is our one wallpaper. Let's just start with one wallpaper as of now, then we'll gradually move on to adding new wallpapers. Okay, so understanding this JSON part is very necessary for building this app. Okay, so for this wallpaper we have certain properties. First is the name. So whenever you open, let me run this app. Let me run this app. Okay, let's just close this. We don't need this. So meanwhile it's running. Let me just tell you all this. So name, the wall will obviously have a name. Okay, the wall will obviously have a name. Author, so who made the wall? Okay, so you can just add your name over here, since if you are the creator of the wall. Okay, URL, now the wallpaper, as I told you, the wallpaper will be saved on GitHub. Okay, now let's take a look from this example. Okay, this short A, short B, short C, these are all the wallpaper names, and this someone you see, this is our author name. Okay, this is our author name, and the first part was our wall name. Now there are two properties. Now one is the URL and second is the thumbnail. So what is the URL? So whenever you download the image or apply the image, so when you download, the wallpaper will download from your GitHub where the wallpaper was saved. So you need to get that URL from GitHub, okay, and paste it over here. I will also show you everything, don't worry about that. So your URL for that image will be pasted here. Okay, for the thumbnail part, now as you see in the app, these are all small preview of the wallpaper. So when loading the when showing the wallpapers like this, you don't need the full resolution wallpaper, because if you load the full resolution of the full resolution wallpapers, the app might take some time to load. Okay, and since all the wallpapers will be stored on cloud, so if the internet service is not that good, then it will take a lot of time to load that wallpapers. Just you were seeing now that this short B was not loading. Let's see all this. These are not loaded yet because it is still fetching the data from the internet. So we will keep the size of the these preview files as low as possible. So we'll create a when we are creating the wallpapers, we'll create the original version. Then we are uploading, we'll create a thumbnail version. So the size of the file should be smaller. Okay, so that will be and then this will also be stored in GitHub. Okay, so we'll store our original wallpapers in GitHub, then again we'll store our thumbnails also in GitHub. Okay, then we will paste all those URLs over here. Now collections, this will be your category. Okay, okay, so collections, this will be your category. Now if you go to collections tab, and you will see this, there are few categories just such as featured, landscapes, people, something like this. So if your wallpaper app has few such categories like minimal, pastel, okay, gradient, so you should write the name of your category over here. Now suppose if you have a wall that goes in both minimal category as well as gradient category, so what will you do? There is a simple trick up here. So suppose my a single wallpaper will go in both in minimal category and then in gradient category. So the first priority is for that wall is, it is a minimal wallpaper. Then I later decide, okay, I want to add this wallpaper in gradient category as well, because it also fulfills that criteria. So I'll just separate with a comma, then write the name gradient, name for the category. And see again, we'll use this same naming convention. If we use a capital over here, then we will use capital over here, and whenever we are creating another object or another wallpaper, then whenever we use the collections, the name should be constant like this. Okay, now if you add a space over here, this can also create some issues. Okay, so we will use this format. Okay, name of the category, and if you want to add the wallpaper in another category, then add the name of that category and separate both of the names with a comma. No need to add any space. Now dimensions. So if you go to the app once again and see, just select one of these wallpapers and go to info. You will see these things: name, the author name, the dimensions. These are dimensions. So what is the resolution of that image? You will see over here. Now you can also add a copyright note. So something like this. You can add whatever, write whatever you want over here. As I told you already that these values can be whatever you want. Okay, but remember to write the property name of the properties as there. So you don't need to write every time all these things. So suppose I have already one wallpaper over here, and if I am adding new wallpaper, what I will do, I will just simply copy this object. Okay, and I will paste on top. Since I am adding new wallpaper, so I will paste on top. Okay, now as I told you already, two objects will be separated by a comma, except for the last object. If each object will have a comma at the end. Okay, so two things to note over here. One is that each property of an object will have comma. Okay, this is comma. At the end, except the last one. Okay, same thing goes for the objects also. Okay, let me just copy this once again. Each object will have comma at the end except the last one. Okay, so I'll just add some few lines at the bottom so that it's properly visible. Okay, you have to remember these two things. Okay, otherwise this JSON file will crash. Okay, so the JSON has a very specific structure. So if you don't follow this structure, the file will crash and simply your app will not be able to load all those wallpapers. You have seen sometimes that you open your wallpaper app and no wallpaper is loading. It's mainly because of that when the developer was adding new wallpapers, he might have missed a comma or something like that, and because of that the JSON file has crashed. So you have to follow this convention very thoroughly, otherwise the file will crash and simply the wallpapers will not load into the app. Okay, so I told you already about this JSON file thing. Now how we will do everything. Okay, let me just give you an example. Okay, so what I have done is that let's just create a new folder. So this will be our folder. Just try to this is my kind of way of doing my work. So suppose this is our wallpaper app. Okay, so suppose this is our wallpaper app, this folder. Inside this folder I will store all the files, all the wallpapers. Okay, suppose I have a new category called as minimal. Okay, then I have another category. Okay, then I have another category such as gradient. So I have these two categories. Now I will have all the wallpapers inside these categories. Okay, so I'll just copy some wallpapers from there. Okay, my bad. I'll just copy some of my walls from, I'll just copy these 4 walls from picture. Okay, I'll just paste it inside minimal. So I have 4 wallpapers. Now why I have renamed this like this. So for you always try to rename the wallpapers like this. This name actually doesn't go in the app. So why this naming convention is followed. What I do is that when I add new wallpapers into the folder, I just to better categorize it, I start the name with the category name. As you see over here, it is minimal underscore 91, and underscore after the name of the category, then underscore, and then 91 will be the number of the wall in that folder. Okay, suppose I already had 90 wallpapers before that, which is not showing in that folder because I have those files in my laptop. So the reason why we do this you will understand in a bit. Okay, so try to do this way. So 91, then 92, then 93, and then 94. You can this name there will 2 names. Okay, this name is the one that will be shown in the app. Okay, but when you add the URL over here, this when you upload the files to the GitHub, this name will show, but this will not matter. I will show in a bit. Okay, now let me add some wallpapers to our gradient folder as well. Let's add some from this space. Okay, let's some of these 4 walls. Okay, so I have this 4 and 4 8 wallpapers. So I need to create repositories. Okay, so what you need to do is you go to GitHub. Okay, you go to GitHub and create a new repository. Okay, so what is a repository once again? So a repository is basically a folder. Okay, now you can do is you give a name to the repository. So the name for my repository will be minimal, since the category name is minimal. So this way I will be able to better organize my wallpapers. Okay, let me check once again if it's recording or not. Yes, it's recording. So I give the name minimal. Now you can keep the repository or the folder public or private. If you keep it public, so anyone knows your GitHub ID will be able to localize the repository and get all the wallpapers for free. So you can try private, but there may be some issues while showing the wallpapers inside that. I'll just try. Okay, I'll just try in a bit. Okay, let's keep it private for now, and if there is any issue, we'll make it public. Okay, add a readme file. This is important for this kind of repositories. Add a readme file, then create a repository. So we give it a name, then we change the visual identifier. Okay, so either it should be public or private. You can select any of these according to your preference. Then add a readme file. Check this option and create a repository. So a new folder will be created like this. Okay, now you need to add all of your wallpapers inside this folder. Okay, so how you can add your wallpapers? Go to add file, upload files. Then either you can drag and drop or choose from your files. I'll just drag and drop. Okay, so I have all these files, so I'll just drag and drop. So as you see over here, this is uploading all the files. Okay, so all the files have been uploaded. Okay, so all the four files have been wallpapers has been uploaded. Now commit directly to the main branch. It is selected. We don't need to do anything else, just do commit changes. Okay, and it will take some time to show all the wallpapers. Okay, these are all your wallpapers. Okay, now these are all your original wallpapers. As I told you already, we need to create a thumbnail for all of these wallpapers. So how we can do it? You can either choose something like a web tool. What is a web tool? So you can choose suppose my wallpapers in PNG format. Okay, a second. Oh, Amy, your video is on. Yeah, turn off your mic also. you have joined very late. We are almost toward the end of the class. There are few minutes left actually, so if you want to stay on, you can stay, but I won't be able to start from the very beginning. I'll just give a brief introduction what happened till now. Okay, and this class will be later uploaded to YouTube, so if you missed out on anything, you will be able to check out from there. Okay, so what we have done till now is, after the last class, we didn't really talk about how you will be able to upload, how you can upload your wallpapers to the cloud. Okay, since we are using the app, and all the wallpapers data will be fetched from cloud. Okay, so for that database, for storing our wallpapers, we'll be using GitHub, and for showing and managing our database, we'll be using JSON file structure, JSON database. Okay, so I already talked about the basic JSON, coding language, and also the basic format of it, that you have to maintain at all times before you add any new wallpapers, otherwise it will crash and simply your walls will not load into the app. So this much basically I have shown till now. Okay, so if you want to stick around, stick around. Okay, so we'll just start once again. Okay, so as I told you already, where was I? Okay, so we have all these 4 wallpapers. Now we need to create a thumbnail file for all this, because we do not want to show all these large images into the app directly like this. Until and unless the user saves the wallpaper or applies the wallpaper, we don't need to use the full resolution wallpaper. There is no need for that, because it will consume more data and the app will take longer to load the files. Okay, so that's why we create the thumbnail file. So one way you can do is, since my wallpapers are in the PNG format, you can either go to this website called TinyPNG. If you go over here and drag and drop your files, it will convert all your files and compress them into smaller files. But what I do is that I use a simple tool for Windows, so that is known as a converter. Basically it is known as file converter, that's it. Okay, so what I do is just I select all the wallpapers and then convert this to JPG. Why JPG? Because if you since my wallpapers are in PNG format, even if I try to compress them, the compressed file size will not be that small. Okay, it still be very large, but JPG files can be compressed to a very great extent, so that the file size of these thumbnails will be very less. That's why when I use a thumbnail, I use a JPG file. When I use a original wallpaper, I use a PNG file. Okay, now why PNG file for the original? Because a PNG file is able to store a lot more data than JPG file. Okay, when you use gradients in your wallpapers, you will see something as banding. Okay, that is very much less visible. If you see over there, if you see closely, you will see these lines, these streaks of lines. You see, from dark to light, there is certain gradient over here, from dark purple to light purple, and you see all these lines. Okay, and these are called banding. So if I had exported this image into JPG, the banding will show to a much greater extent. That's why we use PNG, because in PNG format the wallpaper, the file will be able to retain more data. Okay, so the more the data it will be able to retain, more will be better will be the quality of that file, but also at the same time the file size will be higher. So and we also want to keep the file as good quality as possible. Okay, so this way, this is why we use PNG for our original file. This is why I use personally PNG file for my original wallpapers, and then JPG for my thumbnails. So I'll just right click and go to file converter and convert them to JPG. Now I had set my preset as 30% of the original quality. Okay, so when I convert these files to JPG, my files will convert from PNG to JPG, then it will compress to 30% of the original file size. So if you take a look, this was my original file which was in PNG. It was, the size was of 229 KB. Now this was my converted file. It is 155 KB. It's actually should have been less, but since I'm still using the full dimension 3000 by 6000, that's why the file size is still high. But the way you can do is, if you go to file converter and then to configure presets, and I have this JPG. Now if I scale it, now the scaling is set as 100% and the quality is set as 30%. Now if I just set the scaling as 25%, now save, and let me just sort type according to type and delete all the JPG files as of now. Now convert once again and you will see the difference. Okay, now let's take a look. Now see all this JPG. Now it's 17.4 KB. And you can also see the dimension has also decreased, 750 by 1500. Okay, because we don't need that high resolution for just displaying the wallpaper as thumbnail. Okay, so this is very much good. Okay, now these wallpapers I already stored in our GitHub repository, and these wallpapers also these files also need to be stored in another GitHub repository. So if I go over here, and this is my username for this GitHub account. So just click right click on this and open in a new tab, and we go to repositories. As I told you already, I created a repository by the name of my category name, that was minimal, and I will also create another repository for the thumbnail for that category, for all the thumbnails. So I will just write the name, then give a hyphen and write thumb for all the thumbnail files. I'll also keep it as private, and then add a readme file, then create repositories. Now inside this, all our thumbnail files will go. For better arrangement, we just create a new folder inside this actual category folder, and we'll name it as thumb. Okay, and inside this we'll store all our thumbnail folders. Okay, now just drag and drop this. Sorry, it won't work because we have to click on this upload files. Now since the option is here, I'll just drag and drop this over here. Now give it time to upload. Before it has uploaded all the files, don't commit. Okay, now it has uploaded all the files. Now we'll hit commit. Just give it some time. Okay, so now all you have all these wallpapers. Okay, so what we do is, this is our original wallpapers repositories, and this is our thumbnail repositories. You can see the name over here, the repository name over there. Okay, same. So now we need to get the link of all these wallpapers. So what we do, we just go to the first one that we added, that was the 91, and then we right click on download and copy link address. We copied the link address. We'll delete this one for now. We'll delete this for now. Now inside this double quotes URL here it is written. I'll just paste the URL over here. Okay, this goes for our original wallpaper, this URL. Okay, now for the thumbnail, we go over here and we get the thumbnail of that file, and then right click on copy link address and then paste it on the thumbnail value. Okay, now you see that, as I told you already, the name of the wall that will be showing in the app is different. That this is what that will be shown in the app, but this is how you have saved the wallpapers. It does not necessarily need to be same. This name and this name doesn't necessarily need to be same. Okay, but why we have kept it like this in this structure is that, suppose we are adding a new wallpaper. Okay, so if we add a new wallpapers, whenever we add new wallpapers, we'll paste the new wallpaper on top. Okay, there is a comma at the last, so we do not need that, because for the last object there should be no comma at the end of last object. Okay, so suppose we have 4 wallpapers, we need to add 4 objects. everything is same in all of this. It's just that the name is just different. So this was 92, this was 92, and suppose give it a name 2. So what we needed to do was we just change this value. Now suppose if we saved the wallpapers in different names, suppose this was minimal 91, suppose if we rename the wallpaper according to the actual wallpaper, okay, suppose there are 2 boys, suppose I gave this name as 2 boys, then this one as sunset. So you needed to go to each wallpaper from this repository, then get link for all of them, otherwise the link will not work. But in this case, since we have kept the naming structure in this way, we just need to copy one object. We have to create one object perfectly, then copy each object and then change these values for the next one. Okay, so we have 4 wallpapers like this, so we copy this part and again paste 2 times. For this one we'll give the name as 3, and this one as 3, this one 4, this one 4, this one 4. So this is our JSON file basically. Okay, so what I need to do is that I'll create another repository inside our account, GitHub account. We'll give this name as JSON. Okay, so I already have a repository created, so I don't need to create one. You can just follow the same procedure like last one. Okay, so I'm going to add a new file. So I'm going to create a new file. This will be walls.json. So a JSON file should have an extension of .json. Okay, so we just need this was our JSON file. We just need to copy this whole code and paste it over here. Okay, let me just paste it over here. Okay, so I have pasted it. Okay, I have pasted it. So I have 4 wallpapers. Now I need to save this. Okay, so this is our JSON file. Now I click on this. There is a thing called raw. Now if I go back to our app once again, and if you open framesetup.xml, you'll see this JSON URL that I didn't explain last day. So here is the JSON URL that is already provided by Jahir for his dashboard, so that all these wallpapers will load inside this app, Now if we replace this link with our own JSON link, then our wallpapers will show. Okay, so how we will get the link of our JSON file? We'll just need to go to this and click on this raw file, and then you see that this is our link. So you just need to go over there, copy and paste it here. I pasted it over here. Now I run the app once again. Now let's see if our wallpapers load or not. Okay, now see, it is taking some time because my internet is slow today. For some reasons this is still not loading, because it should have loaded. Why it is not loading? It's maybe because our repository was private, so we need to convert it to public. So what we need to do is we go to the repository and come down to settings. We'll do for the both repository. Okay, so we'll go to the this bottom, and there is a thing called danger zone. Inside you have some options to modify this repository. We change the visibility to public. Now once we do this, we need to copy this, we need to type this. Okay, we need to type our username and with a backward slash, then your category name. Now the visibility has changed to public. we'll need to do the same for this one also. Okay, this one is already public, this is thumbed, and this is minimum. Both are public. Yeah, both are public, I guess. Okay, both are public now. Okay, now just rerun the app once again. Okay, we run the app once again. It doesn't load. We'll go to settings, we'll go to apps. Where's apps? This is my app. Will storage. We'll go to storage and clear storage first because it has already loaded that data. We'll force close this. Okay, and rerun the app once again. It should load all the wallpapers by now. Okay, until we unless we have made any mistake. There is no mistake over here. Oh, it is unsplash thumb. Sorry, my bad. I need to go to change. This is private, still private. That's why this issue. I need to convert it to public. Make public. You just need to write whatever written over here. Okay. Now it's public. Now let's close the app and then load again. Now let's see. Now all the wallpapers are loading. Okay. So as you see, this name is different than the one we gave for the file. Let's take a look at it from over here. Okay, my bad. Okay, now for the URL we gave a name of minimal 94, but the name of the wallpaper is written as wall4. So this name is what that will be shown in the app, not this one. So that's why when structuring your folder or wallpapers inside your in your computer PC, you can just name like this for whenever you copy new wallpapers and add new wallpapers, you can better manage it. Okay, you can do them do faster. Okay, so this is how you have done. Okay, so suppose our app is now live. Okay, now new wallpapers need to be added. So what we will do is we will first go to all the repositories, add our new wallpapers, and also add our new thumbnails, okay, for those wallpapers, and then we'll go open the JSON file and edit. We'll edit. Then we just copy one of this. You can also do this in Notepad also. Okay, just do it like this. What I do usually is that I just copy one of this object and paste it inside a Notepad, and then modify it. Suppose I added 10 wallpapers, so I copy this object 10 times. Okay, so I copy this object 10 times. This is 2 times. Now I need to copy this 5 times. Okay, 1 2 3 4 why 4? Because I already had 2. Okay, I copied it 4 times, so I have 10 objects. Now I just need to change this. Now I just need to change the name of this, okay, according to the name I have given. So that's all I needed to do. Okay, now when I will be adding new wallpapers, I will just copy all of this, and then I had already clicked on the edit button over here. I will just add it on top, because we want to show our new wallpapers on top. When the user opens the app, the new wallpapers should appear at the top. That's why we add at the top. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. Then you need to commit changes. Okay, if you commit changes again, then the new wallpapers will show after a few seconds in the app. If you just pull down to refresh, there is a thing called pull down to refresh. You go to the app, pull down to refresh, and new wallpapers will load. Newly added wallpapers will load. Now there is a thing that I told you already. Now I'm just not going to commit changes. Okay, let's just commit changes and see what happens. I have commit changes, the same wallpapers once again. Okay, let's just see what it shows, if it shows any changes or not. As I told you already that JSON is not a real-time database, so it will take some time to load all the new data. Okay. Since I added two category names, one minimal, one gradient, that's why both of these are showing inside. All of these wallpapers are showing inside both of the categories. Okay. So why these ones not loading is because these are repetitive. That's why they're not loading. Might be it may be that because of that, or it's just simply taking time. Okay. So so far what we've done is we understood what is JSON, the basic JSON structure, and the one thing that I forgot to mention till now is that, as I told you already, even a single comma mistake, let's just mistake one comma. Okay, now let's just delete this first, the last few wallpapers that I had added. Let's just delete this too as well. Okay, there are lots of force. Okay, so here is our 4 wallpapers. Now suppose if I just remove one comma from over here, I just delete this comma and commit changes. I commit changes, there is no comma over here. Okay, so what happens is that it's not currently showing the error. Okay, we'll just go to settings. We'll just go to settings, apps, and then clear our storage. Okay, now if you load this app once again, you will see that it will simply be stuck on loading. Why it's still loading? I don't know. There should have been error already. There is no comma after this one. Let me just clear the cache or the data from over here. Oh, the app was not closed, my bad. Still okay, let me just add comma after this one. For some reason it is not fetching the data accordingly. Okay, it should have thrown an error and shouldn't have shown all these wallpapers, but I guess it's currently showing all the wallpapers because it has stored all the wallpapers in its cache directory. That's why all these files have been cached, but since I deleted all the storage, it should have been gone. Okay, but how you can check before you after you add your new wallpapers, you modify your JSON file, you can do one thing is that you go to edit and then you copy all the codes, Ctrl A, Ctrl C. Then there is a website called JSON lint. You go there. Now you paste your code and then click on validate JSON. Now you will show that parse error on line 9. So what is line 9? What is that? Expecting string comma got this. So true. Over here this comma, this was the problem. Okay, so now if I remove this comma and add comma after this one, after this line, and then again validate, now that our JSON is perfect. Okay, still trying to load. So it's still fetching the data. I don't know, for some reason it's still fetching the data while it shouldn't have. Okay, because I made error on the JSON, that's why it shouldn't have, but it's still loading. No worries, it may be due to some internet issues or something like that. Okay, so the main thing is that we need to understand the basics of it. So to avoid any kind of crashes, what you need to do is, after you have added your JSON, until you are fully confident with your JSON coding, what you can do is that after you have added your new wallpapers and added them to your JSON, then you can just copy all the code and go come to this website JSON lint, and then paste the code and validate JSON. If it says valid JSON, then your file should wallpaper should display in the app without any issues. Okay, but if it throws any error, then you might see some issues such as the wallpapers not showing in the app. Okay, here it is, the data is possibly malformed contact developer. Okay, so it shouldn't have shown like this. It should have simply stuck on a loading animation, that's all. But why, I don't know why it's showing like that, but okay, now you see why did this happen? Because that, as I told you already, JSON is not a real-time database, so it shows the data after few seconds or few minutes. Okay, so it was just taking time, and by the time it was taking all this time to show the new data, it had already cached the data that was already available to it before. So it was already it was showing whatever it had cached. Okay, so now you see this error. Now if I again fix the error over here, the error will be gone and our wallpapers will again start showing in the app. Okay, so I fixed the error and saved it. Now it should show our wallpapers after a few seconds. Okay, as I told you already, JSON is not a real-time database, so it will take some time to load the new wallpapers. Okay, so I hope today's class was helpful. I have covered a lot of topic for today. That is, the main topic for today was to teach you about JSON and that basic structure. Why we needed to talk about the JSON from the beginning to give you the initial impression was very important, because until and unless you understand that part where I showed you about the examples of a class with students, and each student is regarded as an object. Similarly, each wallpaper is regarded as an object. Okay, so I gave you that example to better make you understand the JSON structure, and you have to maintain the structure at all times. Otherwise, the file will crash and your wallpapers will simply not show in the app. So what we have done till today, till now, is that, okay, just let me delete all this control. We have talked about where we will store our wallpapers. Okay, now how to write JSON code. Okay, what we also did was basic JSON structure understanding. We did a basic JSON structure understanding, then we also wrote our JSON code for adding wallpapers, for adding new wallpapers. Okay, so I also showed you my workflow. So how I my workflow. Okay, my bad. So how I add new wallpapers to the app. Okay, in my apps actually. So these are very much essential to know for making this wallpaper app. So you need to understand about the JSON first, then you just need to edit the JSON code when you are adding new wallpapers, and that's all your new wallpapers will show. Okay, so I showed my workflow, and this will vary from person to person. They might have different folder structures and different file names, but the gist of the thing will the summary of the thing will remain same. Okay, so we have covered these parts today, and I also showed you how to get the JSON URL, JSON raw URL, how to get JSON raw URL and use it in app. Okay, so this much we did till today. Okay, so the only thing that is remaining for us is this themes part, the colors part. Okay, if I go to frames dashboard, I have covered almost all of these topics. Two, three things are remaining, that is that setting our app colors, and then there is enabling notifications. Okay, enabling notifications. I think this enabling notifications part is pretty self-explanatory. Still I will do on request, but I will take the next class on app colors, on fixing this app colors. Okay, so that's all for today. So if you have any doubts, please ask me now. Turn your mic on and ask me.
No issue for now. I'll ask it later if I'll found or get any error.
Yeah, sure. You can if you have faced any errors, just simply ping me on Telegram or on my Twitter. I will respond. Okay, I will try to solve
Thank
your
you.
issues, and try to solve all the issues in the next videos as well. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for attending today's class. Okay, I'll just stop the